Hey guys, what's up? And welcome to the channel. This is an episode of the Infinite Library. What episode? I have no idea. I'm not even exactly sure when the last time was that we did one of these, but I do remember that when we ended last time, I would say that we would upload eventually. So I didn't lie at the end of that one. I am Shogun. I'm joined by Paychecks and Snow, my vice captains in my guild, as well as people who seem to know a little bit more about the game than most people in my Discord. What's going on, guys?
Welcome to
Nothing much.
Eventually. Welcome to Eventually.
Welcome to Eventually. Typically, we do these when there's like a bunch of stuff that we want to talk about or there's not much going on. So we're like, oh, hey, we all have some free time. Let's do this podcast, RNG God willingly.
And interestingly, it's not until Shogun's like, hey, let's do a podcast. My work is like, hey, you want to work a 14-hour day?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's Molagora packs right there.
It is. That's
Which,
like 2.5 months of Molagora
That's
packs.
2.5 months of Molagora packs, and it's okay because one of these days, Smilegate will just add a third Molagora pack to solve all of the mola problems, which we'll just get that out of the way. It's been kind of interesting because, I mean, I peruse a lot of like Reddit, Stove, Facebook groups because I'm a masochist and I hate myself, and I want to, just tilt myself on a normal basis, and it seems like the mola problems for some reason is starting like a civil war of types, because you have like people on both sides of it. And actually there was a meme going around the past couple of days about the Marvel Civil War with Tony Stark and Captain America. And man, some of the threads on those get like ridiculously crazy. I mean, I don't understand how people can defend the current state of Molagoras or why they would. I mean, it just doesn't really make too much sense to me. I mean, obviously you guys know what side I'm on because I want to scale everything up, but it just seems like a really odd stance to take of wanting the game to be like hardcore time locked. And the thing I try to get across to people is like when the JP server gets put into the RTA pool, like they're almost 2 years behind the rest of us, so they're going to be at such a skill disadvantage. And even the Euro server was in the same boat when they got put in. As it is, the global server is a bit behind the KR server day one individuals in terms of Molagoras, and no matter how much you play, you'll never catch up to any of those people. And I don't know, I think from like a gameplay standpoint, like I understand if you start later in a mobile game or in like an MMO or whatever, you have a lot further to go to catch up. But even if you were to play 24/7, even if you were to spend tens of thousands of dollars, like you would never catch up to like a day one even casual global player if you started like right now. And I can't understand why people would defend that. And as a new player, if I were going to get into it, because I mean, I get people asking me all the time, oh hey, can you check out this game, can you check out this game, you should play this game. And whenever I look at it and it's like a very old game, if it has some sort of like weird time gating, like I'm not even remotely interested in it, because it'll be one of those things where like, let's take Grand Blue Fantasy for example. I could catch up in Grand Blue Fantasy if I wanted to play 24/7. Like I could catch up to a certain point. Obviously there are some time gating things in that, but if you put in the time, you can catch up to veteran players. Whereas in Epic 7, you will never catch up to people who play even at a casual level. And that's just so weird to me.
I think, like, the big thing that I find very strange about, like, the people that defend the Molagora system as it is, like, those are the exact same people that then go back and say, "Roar, feature X or pack X that they introduced, it's just widening the gap between free-to-play and whales." And I'm like, do you guys not understand that the Molagora packs that exist are like incredibly widening the packs between free-to-play and whales?
Yeah.
But you're okay with the mola system, but you're not okay with widening the gap between free-to-play and whales. I don't understand. It
Well,
doesn't make any sense.
the
Yeah,
people that are free to play, they're always going to be like 18. Well, it used to be 9 Molagora behind, but now it's like 18 Molagora behind. And with these special growth packs, that gap is going to be even further.
right. Right. And like the other thing too is like I'll see people that'll pull up like, oh well, I don't have a problem with Moagoras, I have a problem with gear or with gold or something like that. And so my rebuttal to that is always, well, you can farm those things. If I wanted to just play 20 hours a day, which I mean sometimes I do because I hate myself and I hate sleep. That's why I'm always yawning in my videos because I don't sleep very often. But it's like if I wanted to farm that much and just drop money, like I literally can. The thing is though, is there's no amount of time, effort, or money that you can put in to get get caught up in Molagoras to somebody else who is paying just as much as any other whale does. And I guess I don't understand like the mindset of like that's perfect, that's fine, that's understandable, I need insert X gear to be easier. Because the thing is if they made gold and gear easier to farm, then those people who have those excessive amounts of Molagoras would then find themselves in the same problem that, you know, the Omega whales or the competitive players or the hardcore endgame players are, where they have the gear, they have the gold, they have the characters, but they don't have the skills. And I always try to explain to people too, I'm like, if you have a DPS character and that DPS character is not plus 15, don't even bother bringing it to PvP, because it's not going to do what it needs to do, especially if its S3 isn't completely maxed out. Like it's going to be completely worthless.
Well, like,
Yeah,
guess what?
the classic example for that would always be Kayron, because
Yeah.
as relevant as he is right now, if he's not, if his S1 and S3 are not max molad, he is not killing anything, no
Yeah.
matter how
Dark
good the
Corvus.
gear is.
Look at Dark Corvus too. Dark Corvus is complete trash until you get him like near full mullet, and then he's like the god of Guild Wars.
Right, and
And,
that's
like,
one of the
I
things
think this
too. Is I brought that up to in some discussions, and I'm like, you have to plus 15 Dark Corvus. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm like, until he is plus 15, he is. There's a reason why he got like 2.8 star rating on the, you know, the rating thing in game, because yes, until you have decent gear, until you have him plus 15, he is completely worthless, and there's no reason why you would ever bring him in any way, shape, or form until he has those skills maxed out. But literally the moment that you make him plus 15, like, you could put mediocre gear on him and you're gonna just win everything.
You know, I think the weirdest thing about this game, Shogun, and like this game community, it's about this game community, not this game, is this is the only video game, not mobile game, you know, not gotcha, not anything. This is the only video game I have ever played where the player base is like, it's okay if I don't have this character to their max potential. Like, most games, like MMOs and things like that, you're min-maxing your gear to like 2% damage. Like, you want that extra
Right.
2% damage against the raid boss. But in this game, there's literally a group of people in the community that are like, it's okay that my DPS doesn't have like 45% extra damage.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
as it is in
what?
like some MMOs, like, you even have your healers spec into like healing and damage, because you just require that extra amount of damage regardless of how much it is, in order to like down certain things to like literally min max. And like, that is what I would much rather do, is like min max gear and have my units, like, even if, let's say it was like a system like FGO, right? Because when we played FGO, we did have crystallized ore. In order to get 10 10 10,
Yep.
you had to use a crystallized ore. I would much rather it be that like you can get to plus 12 on every single unit, but the last 3 skills would cost you, let's say, a Molagora or something like that, or a Molagora Go or whatever, a limited thing. So, you know, if you played it forever, you know, you would have, I mean, you would still have everything to an acceptable point, right? You would have your skill cooldowns, you would have your effect chance, but it would be like the one thing that's gated is like maybe that extra 15% damage, or, you know, whatever. And I think that that would be much better because I mean the problem is like if you have a 0 Molagora investment on a unit, don't even bother bringing it to PvP. Like you could take whatever you want to PvE. That's not really a big deal. But it's like if you're trying to play any sort of PvP at a high level, like if it's not plus 15 as a DPS, and even sometimes it's like a tank, or depending on if they have like specific things in their tree that would help out like healers. I mean, obviously you don't have to plus 15 Ruel, but would it be better if you did?
Yeah.
Like that's the big thing is like there's been a lot of times where I will have a DN or something hit somebody and they live with like 3 hit points, whereas if I would have just put a little bit more, 1 more point into RS1, then that unit would have died and then I probably would have won that match. That's like the thing I think a lot of people don't really understand. And like sometimes I'll get into these arguments and stuff like that and I'm like, okay, they're like, well, I don't play PvP, and I'm like, okay, so then why even argue against just getting more Molagoras? I'm like, if the game is a lot easier to skill units up, it's not like people who are spending money on Molagora packs right now are going to stop spending money. It's not like I'm going to be like, oh my goodness, I've got a couple extra $100 that I was previously spending every month because I budgeted for it, but now that I've got it, I just don't know what on earth I would spend my money on. Oh, that's right, more leaf. Well, I buy all the leaf packs, but I would buy more packs of who knows what.
I mean, I'm not as much of a whale as you are, but I do have a monthly budget. Right now, that monthly budget is basically all Mola packs because it's what I have to do if I want to be any sort of competitive.
Right.
If I didn't have the Mola packs, I'd buy things like skin packs. I'd buy things like leaf packs.
Would you really buy skin packs though?
Let's be honest, you're not going to buy the skin pack.
No, nobody in their right mind buys the skin pack. It would be like buying that 5-star artifact for $20, which
I mean, it depends on if I want the skin, dude. It depends on if I want the skin.
The stigma pack.
If Harado had a skin, right, and it was the Lord Harado skin, I would absolutely buy the skin pack.
I mean, yeah, but you get skin tickets out of the Epic Pass. I mean, at some point,
that's true.
like I feel like I would have just enough that if they didn't put it out as a Epic Pass, then I could probably just buy it without a problem because I just get all the skins from the Epic Packs anyways.
All I'm saying is it depends on how waifu the person is and whether you have tickets at the time, right?
Right. I mean, but the thing is like, yeah, the people who are going to be spending aren't just going to all of a sudden be like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to spend any money on this game ever again. Not only that, but if Smilegate really wanted to make a bunch of money, they would put out merchandise, Archie plushes for everybody. Who wouldn't buy an Archie plush, especially if they did like a Grand Blue Fantasy thing where it came with like
a Spectre Tenebria cardboard cutout?
Exactly,
right?
Dude.
Right?
I probably wouldn't, but that's because I got my Ruel standee, so... there's that.
I see. You're one of those people.
I mean, I just don't like getting stepped on. That's just
Real talk, though, I probably would buy like their freaking gear packs and stuff. Right now, I definitely would never buy the gear packs because it just seems like a waste of money for me for the RNG. If I wasn't having to buy Mola packs and I have all these other units I'm now able to build, like lots of extra units I'm now able to build that I can't now, I'd want gear for them.
Right, and like the other thing too is I try to explain to people is like how I had mentioned earlier, like if I'm coming into a game like late, and I know that there is a hard time gate to, to skill up characters that I need in order to be competitive, I'll play it casually, and I will never play it competitively. Like, I play Arknights really casually right now, but if there was like something that was hard time gated, and I knew that if I ever wanted to play competitively, no matter how much time I put in, I wouldn't be at a level where I could play that competitively, then I just wouldn't even bother. Like, I would just 100% not even bother with the game. I'd go, I'd play it for like a little bit, and then I would drop it, and I would just move on. It's similar to one of the things that I had tried to bring up when I was playing FGO, in that like every banner is limited basically, and there's times where a unit just may never come back. And as a player coming into a game, if I were coming into it, let's say 2 years late, and I couldn't access all that stuff. I understand collab characters because those are limited and they can only do so much. I mean, even though some games do maintain the rights and you can eventually get those, but like the thing is if I can't collect all the waifus in a waifu collector and like invest in them, skill them up, things like that, then like why am I even playing this game, right? Like why wouldn't I just go get on a new game that just started today and I would be at the front of the pack, and if I wanted to continue to play it I would. And that just doesn't, I don't understand. And one of the other arguments a lot of people will bring up is, well, you're not supposed to skill everybody up. You're supposed to invest in who you really care about. And I'm like, but what if I care about literally every unit on my roster? Like, they came to my inn. Like, why would I not skill them up? I skill up 3 stars, 2 stars, you know.
There are so many really cool units that I would like to build that I can't right now. Because, like, for one thing, they're too dangerous in terms of PvP meta. Because if I want to be competitive and I try to build this one, like, it might work real well. It might not work at all. And I can't put 33 molas in it to find out if it works okay or not.
You almost have to pull in astronauts and play like 17 different accounts so that whenever a new character comes out, you can just instantly plus 15 it and then see if it works, and then you can use it on your main account.
Big thing with the mola system, in my opinion, is it's a remnant of the old design philosophy for Epic 7. You know, the one that they've, like, piecemeal dismantled, like, little by little as the game went on? Yeah. It's the one main system that's still left. And it's a remnant of the time that basically the goal was you weren't going to roll everyone. You weren't going to roll everyone. There was no pity system. You weren't expected to have all of the heroes. And if that's the kind of system, then yeah, it makes sense you're not going to mola everyone because you're not going to have everyone. Right. But then they've introduced the pity. They've introduced like extra ways to get heroes.
Yeah, and I mean they all also they're very generous with their currency, so you do really have the chance. But the problem is now they're speeding up more units that are coming out, and it's like, you know, I explained previously in like one of my videos, I'm like, I'm not really super excited for a lot of the units that come out, and then they're really hot, like ML Violet and Celine, and then I'm like, man, I have to think with my not my wallet this time. I'm gonna think with something else, but it's okay because they'll look really hot sitting on the bench where they're gonna be.
Or just sitting as your rep character.
Yeah, no, I can't change my rep. It's gonna be Wild Angara forever. But the one thing too that kind of is weird is like with RTA, right? And like, well, obviously before the pandemic, there was talk of them having like, you know, in-person tournaments, circuits, leagues, all this other stuff that was going to be actually ran by Smilegate in an official capacity. If they're trying to do something like that, the Molagora is such a barrier for entry to anybody who would want to get into the competitive scene that didn't start day one. And I think that would be a big deterrent, because if you didn't start day one or you didn't buy a day one account with like a copious amount of Molagoras on it, then you're never going to be as competitive as let's say me, because, you know, I've bought every Molagora that's come out. Sure, some of them are invested into a plus 15 Luna that is just riding the bench forever. That's really feels bad right there. But, you know, it's like they'll never be able to catch up. They'll have 2 years, 3 years of Molagoras behind everybody else. And
just to touch on something you said, like, I'm pretty sure here in a little bit we're going to be talking about some of these new shiny heroes that are coming out. And, like, let me just say that I love freaking Celine.
Oh, yeah.
Celine is the type of waifu that, like, I play this game to roll. Like, that is exactly my aesthetic. That is exactly the kind of hero I want. And I'm going to roll her for that reason. But I'm not excited. And I'm not excited because I can't build her. It's going to be months before I can build her. I've got too many other things in the list before. And Molagoras are stopping me from building this character that I want to build.
Yep.
I just need to point out also that around July last year, they did acknowledge that there was a Molagora problem, and they were going to fix it, but it's already been like pretty much a year. So it's pretty much that they've acknowledged there is a Molagora problem, but they're not going to do anything about it.
They've literally stated on multiple KR streams that they have no plans to look at the Molagora problem. Which I mean,
Just
that
release
kind
more
of
packs, you know?
yeah,
Just
which
release
that
more
kind of
packs.
sucks too because it's not we're not even getting like the PR answer, which is we understand, we're gonna look into it, and then they can just delay it forever, like they did with Hellraid. And so we're not even getting that. We're just getting a hard, yeah, we don't think there's a problem. We're not going to look at it. And it's like,
I think very shortly
okay.
they're going to have. I think very shortly they're going to be forced to acknowledge that there's a problem, or they're going to have a mass exodus of all of their top end players who are actually enjoying their main feature, which is art. Like it's
Yeah.
already started with a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, Warbolt's playing casually. I know Code's taking a break. You're going to literally have these people that are just going to get so overwhelmed with characters. And, like, I can understand...
truthfully, I can't say that I won't be one of them. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a top player by any means, but I can't say that I can last very much longer with this Molagora problem.
Right, and I mean, I understand, like, so some people, their stance is, well, if they give into this, then it'll just move on to the next thing, and then on to the next thing. But I think that this is more... like really the only major problem that's left. Like I know some people are like
fundamental issue. This is a fundamental issue, but there's not that much left.
Right. I mean, I know some people complain about like gold and gear and like all that stuff, but it's like, gold can be farmed. Gear, I think that a lot of people need to just stop being so picky about their gear and holding out for because like some people I'll talk to.
That's a whole podcast, by the way, Shogun. We could do a whole podcast on that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I planned on doing a video because I got to craft a bunch of stuff at some point here in the near future. But I planned on just like as I go through crafting, just really kind of like lay it out there because I do feel like a lot of people are just like looking for this like beyond perfect piece of gear and like nothing's good enough, everything's garbage. People still for some reason hate on effect resist. I just don't get it. I've tried getting the
Let's be honest though, once they get that perfect piece of gear, it's gonna roll like a piece of shit.
Yep, exactly. And there's this guy in our guild too that he showed me. It was like a neck that had like it was HP % main neck.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it had rolled something like over 1,000 flat health, and he was like, "Look at this garbage piece of gear," and I'm like, "Are you hot?
Kidding me? Like that's hot."
That is amazing.
I mean, I've tried. Like, I did that whole video on like flat stats and how they're really not the worst thing in the world to get, especially if you double up on it. It's like I have a % HP ring that rolled, I think, like 1,000 substat flat health. And yeah, I like showed it to somebody and they're like, "Oh, rip, dude," because I think it also had like, I don't know, defense and speed or something like that on it. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, I immediately put this onto my ML haste. I'm like, it's so much HP. I'm like, this, I can put this on anybody and they're just immediately tanky. Like that's just one piece of gear. And
yep. People don't understand gear in this game
the
at all.
thing is I
really
think
don't.
that too many people just like listen to people who don't know what they're talking about, and then it just perpetuates this like misinformation chain where they go, "Oh, well, I saw this person complain about effect resist, so I don't know." But it's like you watch some of my videos where it's like I'll have my 180 effect resist Dizzy and they'll just continuously try to stun her or disable her, and she just kind of stands there and laughs. I don't know the last time a Flitica ever has like used her S3 and actually cooled down my Dizzy or my maid Charlotte.
Unless they wrap Dar and then they just soul burn it on you.
Well, yeah, unless they soul burn it, obviously, but then they wait for the soul burn, right?
Snow makes fun of my janky Dark Corvus, he says, but you know what? That Dark Corvus has only lost one fight that I have ever taken him to, including RTA and Guild.
Yeah.
Janky because of its stats.
It's amazing, dude. You love it. You know it.
Hey, you know what? If it works, it works. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, if it works, it works. Just look at the Shogun's 250 resist CJB.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although I will say that there have been a couple of times where like a character, like a unit will hit him with a debuff, and I'm just like, I need to know how much effectiveness that person is actually running, because they have to have like 200 plus effectiveness, and that's just preposterous to me that somebody's actually running that much. I'm like, who does that? Who?
Kind of like me when I see your guys' 300 speed units. I'm like, I am never gonna have that.
Yeah, yeah.
300
Well,
speed, just like that guy with 1.3 bill gold.
oh yeah. Well, I mean that guy. Yeah, there's no way that dude's not botting. Like I farm a lot, and there's no way that is done by a human being. That's like
What was it, like
almost-
60k sky stones and 1.5
Yeah.
billion gold?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I wish that. I wish that I had that much gold, but then I would still roll.
He can buy
yeah.
he can buy like 2 pieces of gear from Goblicus.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. But so let's get into the 2 new characters that are coming out, Celine and ML Violet.
I just one last thing is I
yeah.
wish I was more excited about them. I really do. They're great
Yeah.
looking heroes. They look very OP. But
I
I
mean-
know. So Celine was introduced around summer last year, and everyone was wanting her for so long,
Mhm.
and finally they're releasing her. And I could say that she could make some teams in Arena because of her S2.
So, yeah, and so there's obviously some discussion around that. The problem is that a lot of people are upset that it's a random chance to hit a certain person. So if it does kill the Oxlots or whatever after Oxlots pushes, then well, it doesn't matter because Oxlots already did his job. I would say a 25% chance to just immediately delete their Judge Kisei or whoever they're using to cleave. Is probably also going to be really nice because I mean let's be clear, like I said earlier, it's all about that RNG chance to screw over insert set arena team. Now I do think that in RTA she's going to be a very strong pick because you can use her to counter pick buff teams. She's gonna have a really good time against like DN, Oxlots, a Momo. Not that a lot of people run a Momo. Judith. Well, I mean, you're gonna have. Well, I mean, she'll be able to hit somebody else, but you know, any sort of buffers of any way, any type, especially buffers that are going to be hitting buffs like on the regular. She's just going to be popping off S2s.
And that's a large part of the meta too. Like
yeah.
it really is.
Oh yeah, it's a huge buff meta. I mean, she's really a hard counter to people like DN, where you know what does DN do? S3 and S2, nonstop, constantly. So by the time DN's S3 is going to be up, chances are Celine's going to have 2 turns down, and then she's going to be ready to, you know, to hit somebody in the face yet again. Her lifesteal, her evasion on her S3 is going to give her a lot of survivability because I feel like right now a lot of people other than like K-Ron, you don't see a whole lot of fire units being ran right now. I mean, other than me who's running Fire Ravi to a lot of high success just because
I pull out a carrot from time to time.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't see too much carrot like a high
No, but I
RTA, but yeah. Yeah, now I do think though
Scorpio thieves though.
What's that?
There are so many Scorpio thieves. There's like not enough black powder to go around.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure. I've already been farming stuff for not only Celine but for ML Violet as well, because I actually think out of the 2 of them, ML Violet's going to have easily the most impact out of the 2 of them. Now a lot of people are like,
scares me a lot.
he
Actually.
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
he starts the battle with an evasion.
he does. Now, one of the things that I've seen a lot of people throw around is, Falconeer, Clary, and Melissa exist. ML Violet's going to be completely worthless. Now, a lot of times I'm like, well, just ban them. Just pick Falconeer Clary or ban Falconeer Clary. You know, I mean, not a whole lot of people run Melissa in the first place. I mean, you probably will see a lot more Melissa pop up, but a lot of people still have this weird stigma about her being bad, which I don't think she was bad from the onstart because, I mean, she could just kill 2 people. And she still can kill 2 people. But regardless,
It's like I saw a tier list earlier that had Sigrid down in like tier C, and I'm like, she can kill 3 units in the right comp, but she's a tier C. Okay.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't really pay attention to tier lists anyways, because
I
a lot of times tier lists are made by people who are not at the upper echelons of the game in general. So a lot of times they don't. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like I've had people tell me, specifically me, they're like, nobody runs Fire Ravi in High Legend RTA, and I'm like,
Except the guy in High Legend RTA that does.
I'm like, I literally do, and they're like, oh yeah, but you probably lose with her all the time. I'm like, no, actually,
Not really.
Like, you know, especially like if they have like more than, you know, just Alencia, right? And that's why I built Fire Ravi, is because people kept stealing my Alencia or baiting my Alencia, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna counter myself some Basar Alencia, you know, Charles, she does pretty good against, and you know, but you would never see her on a, you know, a high tier of the a high tier list, right? Not only that, but I run mine, you know, not like they're like, why don't you run her counter? I'm like, because I don't want to.
Same reason I run a janky Dark Corvus. If
yeah,
it works,
I'm like,
it works.
this works. I'm like, I don't want to rely on a counter set that's never going to happen, because, you know, that's why I don't like running Charles, because my RNG is never as good as the defense AI RNG. But
And speaking of, that is actually the thing that I'm worried about these two new heroes for me personally. Is if I get them myself, I have had bad experience with Charles.
Right.
And he
Elbreth Charles does not work.
He does not work for me at all. I fired him and I put him on a portrait, and he now just presses S3 on things in Guild Wars. That's all he does. But like the thing that I am worried about is that my brand new waifu that I love and ML Violet, they're both kind of RNG units too, and I think that's going to screw me over more than it's going to help.
I agree with you, but I do think that whoever they hit, it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna be powerful, and you just have to be able to work kind of around it. Now, like, one of the things you can kind of look at it as is that whatever their RNG mechanic is just extra, right? Like, let's take ML Haste for example. You don't necessarily have to take ML Haste to a team with a Reviver, because there are times that just his S3, the damage that he can do from his S3 with his heal, is big enough to just bring him along with you. Not only that, but if he's using like an Idol's Cheer or something like that, any sort of AoE is going to push people forward. There's a whole lot of things where you could bring ML Haste and it still works. Yeah, is his S2 completely negated because, well, there's no Reviver? Yeah, absolutely, but the other things that he brings is quite large in itself. So it's like, you know, ML Violet doesn't have to wait for the counter to trigger his S3. So he can trigger his S3 right out the gate. Like, he has the evasion, and if you ban any sort of real threat against him, like, you know, Falconer Corey or a Melissa or somebody that does strip, or, you know, an all-rounder Wanda or something, or counterplay against those, then, I mean, that extra evasion with Violet's Talisman on a speedy ML Violet is not only going to be giving himself exponential focus charges, but they can't ignore him if you build him as a speedy bruiser. They can't kill him because, well, he's a speedy bruiser. He's going to have bruiser-like stats. And you kind of think of it like, I've seen a kind of shift to a bit more of fast, tanky Arbiter Vildreds. And the reason being is the more attacks that Arbiter Vildred gets off while he's alive whittles you down a lot faster, so that when he does get his S3, then he's going to be doing even more damage because, well, you've already been getting hit by him once, twice, maybe 3 times before you can kill him. And sure, is he coming back with his S3 and doing as much damage as he could if he was just a super glass cannon? No, probably not, but he got 3 turns in on you, probably got you blinded, really hurt. You kind of probably wasted a bunch of your turns trying to kill him. And so I think that if you do build him more of a speed bruiser and a threat, it's kind of like take the threat ML Ken, right? If you build super slow, high damage, high critical damage ML Ken, but you build him with no critical hit chance, you just ignore him till you can deal with him, because, well, he's not really a threat that you have to deal with right this second, because, well, he's not going to crit on his turn, so who cares if he's stupid slow. But if you build ML Ken with a good amount of crit chance, so that even when he's not countering, he's going to be doing a lot of damage, you can't ignore him. that's a threat that you have to take care of in one shape or another. So I think that building him that way is going to be, building him speed bruiser is probably going to be the best build for him. Now I've seen a lot of people with like wanting to build him counter things like that, and I'm just like, but I'll just ignore him.
You actually touched on exactly what I was going to say and what I was getting at with my Charles analogy. So like Charles, my RNG Charles was so bad I fired him, right? And I like negated him to Guild Wars and I put him on a portrait and he just hits S3, like I said. But actually what that also did for me is it took a lot of the RNG out of Charles's kit. So I've actually taken him in Guild Wars a lot since then, and I'll take him with like Alina and Charles and ML Ken. And I will, Alina gets the invulnerability off, Charles gets an attack buff, and then you have an immortal ML Ken with attack buff that just murders all the rest of the team. Charles also doesn't usually die, so he gets his other turn because he's pretty fast-ish.
Yeah.
And then he just S2s and kills something, or S1 and S2s and kills something. Like, so I think that's going to be the key with these two units too, is if you like full embrace the RNG, then yes, on defense you're going to be super cancerous. But on offense, you're going to really struggle with him. Unless you do something like you suggested. You try to reduce that RNG and figure out, okay, how can I like have the RNG be gravy but still have this be a good unit without it?
Yeah, I think that in like arena defense, things like that, Guild Wars defense, if you don't bring somebody to strip him, then yeah, it's gonna really suck. Actually, I might just build like see how high of effect resist I can get, and then just let them bring like a Melissa, because most people don't build Melissa with effectiveness because they need her to kill things, and then just laugh when he just completely resists everything that she does. Because I mean, all you have to do is really put like maybe like 120, 130 effect resist on him, which I mean, that's similar to what I have on my Fire Ravi, and that's going to prevent literally any debuff that may slip through from any sort of tanky bruiser or a damage unit, so you're not going to have to deal with that.
Shogun's just going to eventually be known as the guy in RTA that just has a lot of effect resist on all his units.
It's because I hate farming A13. People are like, why do you not have immunity sets? And I'm like, cuz I just stack A13. Effect resist.
I thought you just didn't want immunity because you have DJB.
I mean, well, there's that too, but I mean, I just don't want to farm immunity sets. I feel like, personally, if I can just stack enough effect resist, then I am good anyways, because immunity is just going to get stripped by a Basar or a Flitica or an Alencia anyways.
And what people don't realize too is like, even if you don't fully negate their effect resist, like, if you build effectiveness on a unit, for instance, and you don't fully negate their effect resist, there's still a good distance between 85% and 0%. So, like, having a 50% chance to debuff a Ruel is still better than having a, like, no % chance to debuff a Ruel.
Right. But, yeah. So I do think that, he's not going to be very good on, like, arena defense, for sure. Because, I mean, they're just going to, like I said, they'll bring a Falconeer Quarry and they'll strip him.
Falconeer Quarry, Spectani dead.
Right.
It'll definitely depend on the team comp for ML Violet at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, you could run, some high speed anti Falconeer Quarry stuff, or some sort of like CR push that would give them the first attack, and then maybe disable Falconeer Quarry or anything like that. You'll have people that will probably make anti Falconeer Quarry teams, but I don't think that he's going to be really that amazing in that situation. I do think that on counterattack set he could be very good in Guild Wars, because there is a lot less people there, right? And you only strip him for one turn, so as long as he is semi-speedy, chances are that they're not going to kill him immediately, especially if you have somebody like, let's say, a DJ Basar with him that can then, before their team goes, right, you just boom, hit the S3, cleanse, put debuff immunity on him, he gets pushed forward, now he has evasion again. So you might have situations along those lines. But
Shogun, what are your thoughts about, like, Fat Cat, Marissa, and ML Violet, like, all on the same team? I've heard a lot of people saying that might be something that they want.
So
to me, a lot of that screams Wanda. But
Yeah. I mean, obviously it'll scream SC Wanda. Now the thing is I have ran Guild Wars defenses with MRSA before, and I have done pretty decent with it. I use MRSA a lot in RTA, and I do think that, you know, with the right support, MRSA is really, really good. You do have to build her also like a tanky, like a speedy bruiser, because, I mean, even with Miss reducing the damage, like if she takes a hit to the face from like an A-Ravi or something like that, even with Miss, it's going to hit her for quite a bit of damage. So you do have to build her a little on the tanky side. I do think that having two high-speed threats with a Fat Cat is going to be very, very scary. And I do think that, you know, also building like a fast Fat Cat, like make the whole team fast. You know, Fat Cat doesn't necessarily have to do a ton of damage. He needs to just be there and be fast and cycle his turn so that he is perpetually getting missed and just being a huge annoyance. And so I do think that that is a viable option. Again, though, if you use it on a defense, there's not much in the game that can't be beaten, right? So somebody will come up with something that will end up beating that. But I do think on offense, you can use him potentially in like Guild Wars to bait light units. I think that that would be a good option for him, and if you're going to use him to bait light units, then putting him on a counterattack set's probably, you know, a viable option there as well, because, I mean, if they have multiple light units, then you're going to be getting hit quite a bit more, and then you're going to be able to fire off more S3s. I do think, though, that, like, really you kind of have to think of him as, like, a unit that just has an extra chance to proc an S3, right? I don't think that you really need to look at him as like you need to build him with counterattack, you need to build him this way. I think it's going to take probably a good like couple of weeks after he comes out for people to kind of settle into like a how best to use him, but that's like pretty much the same with like every character that comes out. And then there's
he's always going to be trash at first, right? Just like
absolutely.
Like Lilius was, you know, always going to be trash.
The thing is, though, is like on this one, though, on ML Violet, like I feel like a lot of people are on one side of the fence or the other. Like I don't see too many people that are like, yeah, he'll probably be okay. Like he's not going to be overpowered, but he's not going to be underpowered. He'll be all right. It's either this character is going to be literal garbage or this character is going to be so meta defining it's going to just break things. And
I'm actually kind of waiting to see how people use him, because my mystics are supposed to be for new waifus, but he is really cool.
Well, I mean,
and if he ends up being like a brand new Armored Mildred, it's like
not everyone can be a little Queen Charlotte.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but I think that he will be, honestly. Like the after running the numbers through the damage calculator, kind of looking at things, looking at the gear that I have available, looking at the way that you can play him on different teams, I opted to hold on to all of my Molagoras after finishing up my A-Ravi to specifically plus 15 him as fast as possible, because I personally do think that he is going to be very super cancerous in the future when he comes out. I do think that he's going to be a very cancerous unit that's going to, you know, it's going to be one of those things where Smilegate puts the cancer out there, then sells the cure. Because I guarantee you, let's say not maybe the next one or two after ML Violet, but probably 3 character releases after him, you're going to have somebody that's going to be basically the 5-star version of All-Rounder Wanda that's going to like bypass evasion or something like that.
And it's gonna be ML Bologna, and I'm gonna freaking kick myself for rolling ML Violet. Because newsflash, guys, ML Bologna does not yet exist. Seaside Bologna is not an ML.
That's true. That's true.
She might as well be. She always defense breaks Earth units.
That's true.
So we have that wonderful news to look forward to in our future.
Yeah. No, exactly. But
how about we just let it be ML Charles?
ML Charles. No, I need ML Crow to come out because I rolled another Crow the other day. I have Triple S and like 3 extra copies of him, and I don't even
Just
use
well,
him. I literally he just keeps coming, and he's like, I'm sure that if I just show up enough that eventually he'll use me. Joke's on you, Crow. I'm not going to.
Why would you not use the German tank?
Because I have Lilius. Because I have Eaton. I have Eaton. He's 2 tanks in one. Like, he's Adamant and Arius all in one big brick house.
True story. Now that I'm embracing the bruiser meta, he's a guy I think I should really build.
Dude, I have been trying to show people the way, because there are so many times that cleave teams will just let me take Adamant Eaton in, and they'll ban, I'll put something else super cancerous in there. I'll be like, oh, here's my, super speedy Flitica, or here's Elena, or a Seaside Belle, or something like that. And so they ban one of those, and they let Eaton through, and then he just stands there, and then they laugh at me a bunch, and then their C-Dom gets to go, soul burns, and then doesn't kill anybody. And then I get to laugh emote, as I then take ML Tywin and stun their entire team.
Emoting in RTA is fun.
Oh,
I'm
it is.
cancerous, I know.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Like, my favorite thing in the world is when they start, like, emote spamming me, and then they, like I said, they'll soul burn their S10 or something like that. They'll have, like, 3 turns, and they just kill nobody. And then Dizzy gets to go, and then I just proceed to just stomp all over them from there on out with, like, Dizzy, ML Tywin, Eaton, and like Seaside Belle or something like that.
Let's touch on that real quick before we end. How is ML Tywin now, in your opinion?
So I really actually do like him quite a bit more since his change. I think that the change to his S2 was very, very good and very warranted. Yeah, I have changed him. I used to have him like really slow on a counterattack Elbrus, just so that like when he did clap back at people, the amount of damage that he did was actually surprisingly large. But I have since moved him to a much speedier build. He doesn't do as much damage, but he's really annoying. And I believe he has like a 150% chance to stun Spectre Tenebria, because I don't know that I've ever ran him against a Spectenny that he hasn't stunned and then continued to stun lock until the whole team was dead.
He's really good. He's definitely got a bit of oppression, because his S2 now, I think it counts for like when anyone on the team is debuffed, he'll cleanse the whole team.
Yep, as long as he's hit.
And a lot of the meta, it's involving like a couple of debuffs only. Like, it's mainly defense break and maybe attack break at times.
I don't know, man. I run Dizzy on pretty much every team that I possibly can, because like if you can. And I run my Dizzy on Violin, so that I don't even really care about debuff immunity, because it's getting off there eventually. And once you land that Dizzy S3, it's GG from there. Like, once you start stacking some debuffs, even outside of defense break, she is just an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Got Celine's artifact, by the way.
Also, for a speedy Iwin, the -4 souls from the S1, it definitely stacks the more turns he gets.
Absolutely. And the thing is, is like there have been a lot of times where I will be up against like a Spectre Tenebria, right? And I'll be just lapping, and she just never gets souls to pop off those extra turns, because between Elbrus counters, between Tywin going, I've been actually considering running an Andre's crossbow Cerise, just to further lock down the amount of souls that the other team gets. And I think that soul control is really huge, especially in teams where they kind of at some point or another rely on that, especially for like things where let's say it is a Falconeer query and they need souls in order to pop off that effect resist ignoring S3. If they don't have the souls, they can't do it.
Yep, a lot of people discount the soul suckers. They're kind of a big deal.
I mean, really, a lot of people didn't even talk about that when they talked about Tywin before, it was always just, oh, well, his S2 only has an 85% chance to actually do anything. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, no, that's fair. It sucks really bad when he doesn't cleanse everybody and then I lose in arena, but it's whatever. I'm like, his S3 before was an unhealable slow that did good amounts of damage. His S1 is a 75% chance to provoke with 4 soul burn. And he does scale off of HP. Now, granted, it's not as good as like a Valencia or anything like that, but I mean, he did surprisingly decent amounts of damage even before. I mean, he does a little bit less now, especially in my current build, because I was running him on a high counter attack, high hit point, high crit damage, just for those massive clapbacks. But I really do like him, and I actually seen quite a few other legend tier players actually using him on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah, I said this before.
He's no longer
if you like a hero, yeah, I said this before. But if you like a hero, you should just roll them, because even if they suck now, most of the time they don't. Most of the time the community's wrong when they say a unit sucks. But even if they suck now, like they get.
Well, I mean,
unless you're ML Ball. Then
Except for
it's
Haste
always
and ML
bad.
Ball and ML Era. ML Ball and ML Era will never be changed because they were the unfair victims of the KR.
well, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I even still see Sage Ball used in some situations. Like I've ran up against,
sometimes.
yeah, I've ran up against him a couple times. I mean, granted, it's not as bad as it used to be, but I do see him every once in a while, and sometimes I get hardcore locked down by him. It sucks. But there's still a lot of people that think that ML Tywin is still absolute trash, and I'm just like, you know what? That's fine.
At this point, it's like, think whatever you want. I'm just going to build who I want, and I'll beat you with them.
Yeah, really, like, the big thing is I do find that there is a very large discrepancy against, with, like, casual people that really don't know what the meta is at a high level, and they just parrot what other people who don't know is actually usable at certain gear thresholds, and they just assume because they don't have the gear, because their Fire Ravi doesn't do as much damage, that the character is completely unusable. So then they just parrot that, and then you just get this
Shogun,
huge.
Shogun, are you saying just because my best unit is like a 250 speed unit that like I don't believe 300 speed unit exists? Because you're probably like, I think I blocked that out of my memory.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just don't see 300 speed units anymore.
They don't exist. Nobody's 300 speed. They're all like as fast as me. That's what it is.
Yeah, and actually, I do get some people that I show them my like 300 plus speed ML Rin, and they're just like, "That's not possible."
How'd you Photoshop that?
How did you Photoshop that? And I'm like, by putting all of my speed gear onto her. That's how I did that. And they're like, oh,
no, that's not true. You're a liar.
And then they just call me a dirty whale. And they're like, wow, imagine spending money on a mobile game. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
You're in the wrong genre.
Yeah. I'm like, imagine, I'm free to play over here, boys.
Yeah, Shogun's free to play.
Yes.
Just like Careless.
Exactly, yeah. Me and Careless are both about the same level of free to play. He's a little bit more free to play than I am. So, but anyways, yeah, anything else that we've got going on before we wrap this up, because I do kind of want to go to sleep.
Only that I'm rolling for Celine at the moment. Still haven't got her. Have gotten 2 artifacts though, but FYI, the connecting boss is real.
Oh yeah, everyone's trying to summon Celine right now.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll do that before I go to sleep. I'll throw like 1 or 2 in, and then I'll do it the rest in the morning.
Just watch you summon her.
Yeah, I probably will. That's how it goes. I'll probably wait until like 2 in the morning when I get up to use the restroom, and then I'll just like potty pull her like I always do, like I did Ruel.
The YD toilet ritual.
That's right.
Most
hey, I've been
one.
doing the toilet ritual since FGO, so
it worked. It worked real well in FGO.
Always, yeah. It's how I pulled quite a few 5 stars. But with that said, I am gonna cut out of here. Thanks, guys, for joining me. This will be uploaded probably in like a day or 2 when I remember to upload it. And the next episode, one of these days. Actually, we should probably do this more often. We should do this on weeks where there's not like really big patch notes, right? because then we
Yeah, that
can
might be a good idea.
let patch notes settle for a week and see how we really feel about them. Because every other Wednesday is like, I don't even do patch notes videos because what am I gonna say? Hey guys, so it's me. It's 6 in the morning. Celine's coming and her side story. The end.
Yeah, that might be a good goal.
You'll probably be able to squeeze in like 20 yawns in there. Come on.
Absolutely.
That's
'cause
what
I won't be that
us
excited.
Shogun Shogun people watch the videos for those yawns.
I actually saw somebody the one day complain about how they used to watch my videos until they watched my patch notes videos, and all I did was yawn, and it was really off-putting. And I'm like, man, it really sucks having to yawn that much in real life too. It really, interrupts things that I'm doing. But it's sometimes you just don't sleep because you've got gacha to play.
Gotta get those OP pieces of gear somehow, man.
That's right. But I do need to go sleep. So thank you guys for joining me. As always, if you guys like this content, you know what? You do whatever you want to do. Thumbs up, thumbs down. At the end of the day, it's whatever, man. You live your life. I'm not your boss. I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy, homies. Peace.
Crack it.